Welcome to another edition of Front and Center, and we're here with Paul Bosley. We're going to learn a little bit about him today. Thank you, Paul, for joining us and for taking the time to share a little bit about you with us.
Pleasure. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. Well, tell us a little bit about you. You're coming into the AACFB as treasurer, and we're so happy about that. So tell us a little bit about why you want to be treasurer for the AACFB and what you're excited about. And we'll knock that out before we get to the really good stuff about what you're doing exciting the next couple of weeks.
I do a lot of volunteer work. Actually, I'm just leaving from a volunteer job that I did, and I enjoy that type of work. I found over the years that it's very rewarding. You never know, what you're going to get out of it. But I've been a member of the association back when it was NALB for years, and we've enjoyed our association with the organization. And we've attended a number of the shows, the trade shows, usually in the shows in the East Coast, not so much the national shows because we're located in the Southeast. So I've always enjoyed my association. Monica and I have communicated directly a number of times. Whenever she puts out a call for articles, I always send over an article that I've recently have written that was published that we can edit for the brokers or the funding sources. So I just thought it would be a good idea to step up and see, what it would be like to be more involved with the association. So that's why I'm excited about it.
That is exciting because sometimes people do end up volunteering for things that they do get a phone call about, but they're not sure about it, or they're not real passionate about volunteer work, or they've not been a part of that particular association. So the fact that you have history within the association and a passion for volunteering is going to be great for the association, just like the association is great for all of us. But when we can give back, that's great. And it needs it because it won't survive. It won't thrive without volunteers like you and without the board. So, and then without Monica, she's amazing. She's always been amazing. So lucky that she knew you and knew to call you. Well, good. Well, so tell me a little bit about, I've not met you before. We talked about that when we were off camera. So now I'm eager to learn about your business and what you do in equipment finance, a little bit about your history in our prestigious industry.
Well, for me, equipment financing is more really ancillary income for our company. Our company really specializes in SBA and USDA loans. We're an agent for about 26 different national USDA and SBA lenders. We specialize in really two industries. One is the franchise industry, and the other one is in the RV park and campground industry. Those are the two industries that we were very active in. I came from the fitness industry originally, and that's where I started to do a lot of equipment financing because a lot of the treadmills and the ellipticals and things along those lines, like cardio equipment, generally are leased because they have a certain life, roughly 3 to 5 years, depending on the manufacturer and how much they're used. So when we own clubs, then we typically lease them. And when I sold my clubs, I moved over into the financing part of the fitness industry. And actually, I was the leasing manager for a couple of the fitness manufacturers initially when we first launched the company. So now we do equipment financing more with, like, for instance, campgrounds. The model homes, the tiny homes, are usually delivered on wheels, and they have a VIN number, so they can be financed just like any other vehicle with a VIN number, but they're 300 square foot tiny homes. With franchising, there's companies like Signarama as an example where we can finance $150,000 of equipment for sign making equipment, POS systems, signs on the front doors, stuff like that. So we use leasing more as a secondary form of finance. In some cases with franchises that are small franchises where they're too small, where the money isn't that's required isn't big enough for an SBA loan, we can use leasing in that case also.
Nice. Yeah, right. I have not gotten into tiny homes or the campgrounds. But I can tell you that in Texas, where our home base is, it's in high demand, I'm sure. Do you have a lot of business in Texas with all of the campgrounds going up, and
Yeah, yeah.
they love it?
Right now, we're in the middle of it's about an $8 million USDA loan. It's in Grovesback,
Nice. I
Texas.
know where Groesbeck is.
Yeah, yeah, they're building a Jellystone Park.
Yeah.
And two of our staff are going to be at TACO, Texas Association of Campgrounds. It's a little bit north of Houston. I think it's going to be in about another week or two. So we'll have two of our people there at TACO.
Nice. That's amazing. In fact, I grew up maybe 30 minutes from Groesbeck, so it is exciting to even hear the word Groesbeck, but to know that there's some transactions going on out there and that it's something that you're a part of, that's exciting. It's a small world. It's such a small
Yes, it
world.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just camped in Grovesback actually to
Did
visit.
you?
Yeah, we became friends with I've been working with the guy for, a couple years because when you're financing campgrounds, it takes a long time. These aren't, fast transactions. So, we decided when my wife and we have an Airstream and we were traveling, we stopped in Grovesback for a couple of days and camped and spent time with them.
Yeah, and isn't it beautiful country out there? That's amazing. You
It
were
is.
traveling around out there probably when I was running around. That's my stomping ground. Those are my
There you
back
go.
back there.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, amazing. Okay, well, good. Well, then let's get to the good stuff. And then, so tell me a little bit about, you said you're passionate about volunteer work. You and your wife like to travel. So, what is it that makes you happy in your personal life? Because we don't share enough of that. I think when we're working all day long and we're talking with people, we don't know about people. We don't know about people, and we need to. So what should people know about the new incoming secretary treasurer?
I would say the things that I like the most are I've always wanted to see all the national parks. It's on my bucket list, and I've seen a lot of them. My wife and I have traveled to quite a few of them. So, that trip that I'm referring to, we went in eventually we ended up in Texas, but we had already stopped at seeing like in Moab, Utah, we stopped and saw arches and canyonlands, and we went up to the Grand Canyon, so when we're traveling, we stop at the park. So I enjoy, we spend probably about 3 months a year in the Airstream traveling. Mostly to go out west to Colorado. The biggest show that we go to is in the glamping show is in Aurora, Colorado. So we exhibit and we speak there all the time. I'd say from a volunteer work standpoint, I've just always found that, what goes around comes around. I've been a volunteer for SCORE, which is part of the federal government. It's part of the SBA. I've been a SCORE volunteer for about 12 years. Actually, if you go on to score.org and you Google financing seminars, one of our seminars that I gave is out there about how to finance. I enjoy that. I'm a volunteer of the chair of our church's finance committee, and I enjoy doing that, kind of giving back. So those are the things that I kind of like the most. On a personal level, as I mentioned, I come from the gym business. I've run like 27 marathons.
Oh,
I'm a
wow.
long distance. Yeah, I train. I train 6 days a week. I'm a swimmer now. Because I'm older, so I can't run. So I swim distance. I swam in college, so I just swim distance and to keep fit. So I'd say traveling, volunteering and training are probably my three, things that I enjoy the most.
That's interesting because a lot of times I'll talk with people and they'll have a lot of different interests, but none of them plug in to each other and maybe don't necessarily benefit each other. One interest might kind of even take away from the other a little bit and drains it. But with the three that you've mentioned, what strikes me is that they all play into one another. If you like to travel, you can volunteer more. And if you're fit and you like to train, you can travel more. And so all three is the perfect trifecta, right? All three of the things that you said you like probably leads to a pretty fulfilled life.
Oh, I'm happy. I feel very
Yeah.
blessed. Yeah, we're here in Connecticut after I volunteer. One of the other volunteer jobs is I teach classes for the National Association, the Trade Association for RV parks.
Mhm.
So I just taught 3 classes. There were about, I don't know, I guess about 100 people that flew in from all over the country that are trying to get certified to buy and open up an RV park. And now I'm driving over and we're in Connecticut to visit our daughter and granddaughter. So, we've got nice kids. I'm going to be a great grandfather later this year,
Oh,
so
congratulations.
yeah, so I've got daughters, grandsons, and granddaughters, and I'll soon have a great grandson.
Oh, well, that's amazing. You are blessed. And then, I mean, out of all you've said all these great things, and then you hit us with the big thing at the end, which is that you have some great grandbabies coming.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Well,
excited about that. I have a hard time even thinking about being a great grandfather. Obviously, it's hard to believe, really.
well, it doesn't sound like you're slowing down at all. You're still very fit,
No,
you're still running around, so it doesn't matter. I mean, we can have titles all day long, but it doesn't mean that our life is slowing down, and it doesn't sound like yours is.
no, I'm not slowing down at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you just added on Secretary Treasurer, so good for
Yeah.
you. Hey, Paul, you mentioned score.org was a place where you had one of your seminars posted. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, score.org SCORE is a division of the SBA. It gets money from the SBA and it also gets money from different sponsors, like a lot of lenders are the sponsors of SCORE. There's chapters all over the United States. There's literally thousands of people that volunteer and they're all vetted, before they can become part of SCORE. And if you go on score.org, you can get for free, and everything's free, by the way. And you can get seminars on almost any topic you can imagine. Like if somebody here has a business and they want to learn how to do more with their social media or marketing or something like that, there's, all sorts of options for that. And everybody that's there is really an expert in what they do. So that, for instance, in my case, when I became a volunteer for SCORE, they use me mostly for finance, where other people might be an expert in restaurants or another person might be an expert in, social media or marketing or things like that. So there's templates you can download for free. There's tons of videos that can use. Like for instance, there's a business plan template, there's financial projection templates. There's just about anything you can imagine on score.org. And I always tell people when I'm doing seminars, it's by far the best website for anybody in business at all. And as a matter of fact, I've ended up in my company, my marketing director I met through SCORE, and my sales assistant I met through SCORE. So I mean, it's been a really good experience for me. Like I said earlier, you never know what's going to come out of volunteering, but I would have never guessed that my marketing director and my sales assistant came from SCORE. It's good to understand it, and if people are talking to clients of theirs, I always would recommend that you point people towards SCORE for them.
Absolutely, it's a value add, right? Not only could the members of the association gain a lot of knowledge and gain partnerships through score.org, but then the people that they're servicing, I'm thinking
That's
as,
right.
my customers and even some of my vendors and people who I haven't even made a customer yet, but look to, that would be a great value add to offer them, is just the knowledge that site exists. So that's amazing. I'm glad that came up. And knowing that you also have some content up there makes it even more exciting. So I know I'm going to check it out. And I think that it's great that we could include that here for the association members. They should check that out too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.